Chiefs general manager Brett Veach spoke to the media this morning, and he had some very interesting comments on the offensive line, and specifically guys like Josh Simmons and Kingsley Sumata, who are going to be playing much different positions in 2025. But if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Michael Darcy, and you're watching the KC Sports Report. Do me a big time favor and hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more daily Chiefs coverage. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about Brett Veach is whenever he gets behind a microphone and speaks to the media, he gives very meaningful and long answers. Usually in this organization, you get very quick, very brief, cookie cutter answers that don't really give you any actual insight. But when Brett Veach speaks to the media, which it seems like he does 3 times a year, he gives great answers, and he had some absolutely beautiful quotes on the left side of the offensive line, and I want to go ahead and play this clip of him talking about Josh Simmons, because Simmons has been displaying that level of nastiness and confidence that you want to see in a left tackle, and it seems like Brett Veach is pretty happy with what they have, and I'm going to go ahead and play that clip right here.
Everyone sees the talent and the athletic. All these guys are not playing in the NFL if they're not competitive. But, he's got a different level of competes that, I don't know if maybe you can probably quantify as surprising us to some degree. I thought you saw it already in training camp, not just with the fights, because, we never condone that. But even with, if you guys were at field level, just with the one-on-ones, there would be multiple days where if the guy got him, it's like, let's go again. He's one of those guys, sometimes those rookies, whether it be, stepping back up after something didn't go right, or hopping in the front of the line for everything. He's one of those guys that, and looking back on it, that's how he attacked his rehab, just all in. And trainers thought that maybe within a week or two he'd be at training camp, and he was out there at OTAs. He's ready for the start of training camp. All right, here you go. Now you're going to be Big Ten's good football, but this is the NFL, and look good. He'd get beat. All right, let's do it again. And if you didn't understand something, asking questions. But I think that there's a level of just kind of nastiness and competes that I think all players have, and it was good to see that. There was that confidence kind of, and you need that, right? At least some degree of it. Too much is anything is too bad, but you do need a degree of just self-confidence, that's not arrogant, but some grit. But I think the one thing that surprised us the most is just, his, nastiness and willingness to put a bad play behind him, and I think that's been a little Achilles heel for us with some of the guys that we've had there, just pushing through that, putting that bad play behind you. Let's go on to the next play. I'm not going to live in the past, and I think that's the one thing. And look, he'll get beat, and I'm sure the one time he gets beat, it'll all be over Twitter, and it'll be shown a million times, but I think he's a guy that's shown that he's going to have that ability to put it behind him, line up, and go play again.
So once again, Brett Veach gives incredibly thoughtful answers, and I want to kind of pick apart what he said in that clip, because that level of nastiness that Simmons is showing at left tackle is incredibly important. You need your left tackle to have that confidence, to kind of have that mean streak, and you heard Veach talk about the fight that happened at camp and that they're not necessarily happy with that. But the fact that the guy that they drafted to be their franchise left tackle is showing signs of extreme confidence, not arrogance, but rather confidence, is a very good thing to see. Now, I think the most important takeaway from that clip is that Veach said that he's got a willingness to, put the bad play behind him, which is something that previous left tackles and guys on this offensive line have not had. And if Simmons is able to truly take that bad play and put it behind him, it is going to help him become a much better football player. And I actually think that, Veach might have been throwing a subtle shot at Kingsley Sumata because he had some issues last year with confidence and they kind of threw him into the fire. But it seems like Simmons is, extremely confident. He can put that bad play behind him. And like Veach said, it's not like he's not going to get beat, but if he does get beat and it's all over social media, he's just going to put the play behind him and go on to the next one. And that is so incredibly important, not only in a left tackle, but in a young player. And I think that, the Chiefs might have screwed up Kingsley's mentality last year, his confidence, because they had him playing at an incredibly new position that was foreign to him, and he didn't look very good. And when they benched him in week 2, from the reports that I've heard, Kingsley's confidence was killed. It was just dead. And so hopefully with moving him to left guard, we can kind of see a bit of a resurgence in Kingsley's confidence and making him a better overall left guard. But I do want to go ahead and play this Kingsley interview because Veach had more great answers about him, and I'll get to that right after this ad break. This video is sponsored by my wonderful friends over at DM Injury Law. Injured in an accident? You could be entitled to significant compensation, but time is critical. Rely on the experienced personal injury attorneys at DM Law, Kansas City and Missouri's top injury law firm. DM Law is a full-service personal injury practice supported by a large team of investigators, case managers, medical records specialists, and more. And best of all, you don't pay unless they win. DM Law operates on a contingency fee basis, so no fees unless they win your case. And they also provide free consultations. So if you've been injured, don't wait. You can contact DM Law today for a free consultation and learn how they can help you pursue the compensation you deserve. Let them handle the fight while you focus on healing. Hurt in a car wreck? Call Mike. Remember, Mike's got this. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Thanks to DM Injury Law for sponsoring this video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and play Brett Veach's clip talking about Kingsley Sumata.
I think you have seen growth from week 1 to week 2. So he's a guy that's come a long way. Listen, he had one start in Denver, and it wasn't that it was the greatest game ever played by a guard by any means, but I think he's got a lot of ability. I mean, he's athletic for his size. He has all the physical attributes to be successful. I think, playing right next to Creed was something that we thought would be good for him. And I think once he becomes more comfortable at that position, so like what we were saying, moving him in there, he's going to have to, we got to get him a lot of reps. And there are going to be some plays like you saw, early on in the preseason, they're going to get him. Because it's one thing to sit there and say, I know the scheme, I know the concept. And then when you go out there and the defense does slightly different, it's going to come from a different angle, a different speed. And once it gets you off balance, it looks, you look awful. So it's that fine line of the more he sees that, the more it doesn't surprise him, and he can react and just use his athleticism. But it's also that fine line of, it happens, you can't get the quarterback hurt, right? I mean, we thought as a staff from Arizona to Seattle to, the last game, it's gotten better, and so again with him, just like Josh, I'm sure there'll be some bag plays, but I think the combination of, maybe a little of Simmons' swagger rubbing off on him, but also being right next to Creed where maybe he's helping slow down the game for him, I think is helpful. But he has all the tools, and I think everybody knows that. It's just a matter of just, the consistency and not repeating mistakes and not being a repeat offender. But we're seeing the growth where, and I think if it does click for him, he's got a ton of, obviously, ability.
To kind of piggyback off of Veach's comments, he's got the athletic traits. We know that Kingsley has all of the physical tools to slot in very well at left guard. And something that I think is also important is with this transition to a new position, you're relying on the guys next to you. And last year, Kingsley was, relying on Joe Thuney, and Joe Thuney's great. I think he's probably the best left guard in football. But when you're on an island and you're going up against, an edge rusher one-on-one, there's only so much help a left guard can give. And so by moving him inside, he now gets to play next to Creed Humphrey. He's got Josh Simmons on his left. He's got a lot more help, and a lot more, guys that can help him, maybe pick up a rusher, pick up someone that's blitzing, and kind of, help him anchor down that middle, because he's got a guy to his right and he's got a guy to his left. And I do think that is going to help a young player like Kingsley. And Veach said it, I've been saying it all offseason, he just needs a lot more reps. Kingsley is playing a new position. He's got no experience at the pro level playing left guard. He needs more reps. He needs more snaps. And, you heard him mention it. The coaching staff and the front office believe that he has gotten better in every single preseason game. This is a guy that looked a little bit rough in the first one, a little bit rough in the second, and by that third preseason game, you're like, okay, he's playing some good reps. And so again, this is something that is just going to take some time, but I do like that Brett Veach is confident in Kingsley making that transition. And the final thing that Veach mentioned that I wanted to highlight is that Kingsley has to improve and he has to be the guy, because if he's not, the quarterback's going to get hurt. Patrick Mahomes is going to get obliterated by an unprotected rusher. And if, Kingsley can't pick up that guy, if he can't read, a blitz, if he can't pick up that rusher, it's going to be very difficult to rationalize him being out there on the field. But I do think that he is making strides in the right direction. I'm confident that he'll figure it out. And maybe I shouldn't be, but I think that, with a little bit more time and more practice reps, Kingsley Sumata will be just fine. But I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. What do you think of Brett Veach's comments today on the left side of the offensive line? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Sound off down in the comment section below. And Chiefs Kingdom, we are under 100 subscribers away from 14,000, and we're trying to build one of the largest Chiefs fan bases on YouTube. So if you guys enjoy the Chiefs content, hit that subscribe button and tell a friend to subscribe. And if you're still watching at this point in the video, pat yourself on the back. That's all I've got. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Chiefs.